moving towards backing in a purpose-built quarantine hub in Victoria.
We are highly favourable towards this.
Considering two sites put forward by the Victorian government, one at Mickleham near Melbourne Airport, the other near Avalon Airport. Approved in principle by Cabinet's National Security Committee this week, the final choice by Cabinet within weeks. The agreement?
This facility be put in place in addition to hotel quarantine facilities.
A $200 million venture jointly funded by the Commonwealth on Commonwealth land but run by the state, and according to opposition parties, way too late.
In a national emergency, the buck stops with the Prime Minister of the country.
This is a Morrison government lockdown in Victoria.
Scott Morrison says he and the Premiers must work closely together to get the vaccination and quarantine programs on track. The vaccination and quarantine programs on track. Quarantine programs.
It's been labelled the gold standard of quarantine facilities, used to repatriate Australians from overseas. But Howard Springs has only been welcoming about 600 arrivals a fortnight, far less than other states. That might be about to change.
We are looking to expand the capacity further of Howard Springs, already expanding it to 850 and potentially well beyond that, which would involve a more than doubling of that capacity at Howard Springs.
Work is underway to increase the capacity to 850 repatriated Australians as part of a previously announced expansion. And the NT government says discussions are underway to use even more of the estimated 3,000 beds. But the Chief Minister has previously flagged barriers, including hospital capacity and finding enough staff for the centre. The domestic side of the facility, there will be more capacity freed up tonight as the government revokes the hotspot declaration for parts of Western Australia. Arrivals from Perth, Peel and the southwest of WA were sent to quarantine from Sunday, but the NT government says it's satisfied with the state's response, with WA recording no locally acquired cases this week. One WA traveller who arrived in the NT over the weekend has been fined more than $5,000 after she was found wandering around a suburb after undertaking a COVID test instead of self-isolating.
Sky News has just seen a letter that the Prime Minister's office sent to the acting Premier confirming that a 1,000-bed alternative quarantine facility will be built at Mickleham in Melbourne's north. In that letter it says, following consideration of the analysis of the location options of the facility and in accordance with our MOU, I'm advising that we have determined that the land at Mickleham, currently owned by the Commonwealth Department of Finance, is the selected location for the facilities. So there is really a hope here, Kenny, that that facility could be up sooner than we were initially told. Kenny?
INC is offering 3 ready-for-use large tents where it usually houses members during large gatherings. Government officials inspected the area. They are pretty much satisfied with the arrangements, except for some modifications, such as replacing fabric cubicle partitions with acetate plastic. Now, there are also readily available housing units for healthcare workers. The health department is still scouting for volunteer doctors and nurses to man these makeshift medical facilities. This facility here in Ciudad de Victoria will host COVID patients from northern parts of Metro Manila, including Quezon City and the Camanava area, as well as Bulacan. If needed, INC will open the 18,000 square meter Philippine Sports Stadium. Here, more tents could be set up for more patients. Officials project this complex could house up to 2,000 people at a given time, making it the biggest quarantine facility in the country.
A decades-old indoor sporting arena in Manila is all set to function as a COVID-19 quarantine facility. Around 100 beds in place, water stations loaded, and uniformed personnel on standby at the Ninoy Aquino Stadium. Authorities initially wanted or planned to open the facility last week, but Health Secretary Francisco Duque says there were delays in preparations. Some things took longer to fix or set up, like the waste disposal system. Now, aside from the stadium, the government also converted other public places into quarantine facilities, like the Philippine International Convention Center and World Trade Center in Pasay City. There are floating quarantine facilities as well, or ships, that will be used for patient isolation. Officials checked out some of them at the South Harbor, before giving the go signal. All in all, these makeshift quarantine sites, makeshift medical facilities, makeshift quarantine sites could serve at least 1,500 patients with mild symptoms or PUIs.
I'm at a government quarantine facility for COVID-19 at a Royal Thai Air Force flight training school. Thailand wants to make sure that all returning Thais from overseas are free of COVID-19 before allowing us to return into Thailand. We'll be here for 14 days.
หวังว่าทุกท่านจะเข้าใจความจำเป็นของรัฐบาลที่ต้องดูแลพวกท่านอย่างใกล้ชิดในช่วงนี้นะครับขอให้ทุกคนโชคดีแล้วก็มีความปลอดภัยจากทุกโรคแล้วก็มีสุขภาพแข็งแรงนะครับขอบพระคุณครับสวัสดีครับ
竹篙灣臨時檢疫中心有3500個房，咁其中有34個係相連房，係供一啲需要無障礙嘅設施嘅人士使用。特別咧，佢哋需要有人去照顧啦，咁我哋會派俾佢哋。
其實基本上咧，我哋為入住嘅檢疫人士咧，一入嚟嘅時候咧，我哋已經提供咗一個基本嘅個人嘅護理嘅物品啦。咁當中可能包括有牙刷啊、牙膏啊、一啲梳洗用品啦。而我哋每一日咧都會為佢哋提供水果啦，同埋支裝嘅水嘅。咁另外一方面，如果佢哋有特別嘅需要，例如話佢哋可能想要啲杯麵或者零食或者一啲沖劑飲品咧，我哋亦都可以提供俾佢哋嘅。如果真係有小朋友需要入住嘅話咧，好似我哋而家呢個標準房，我哋都顯示咗咧，就係我哋可以提供到 BB 床啦，一啲 BB 嘅日用品啦，包括尿片啦，一啲床墊啦，佢嘅床單被鋪啊，佢要用嘅藥棉等等啦，當中可能有奶粉啦、暖奶器、消毒奶樽嘅機啦，亦都會有果蓉同埋一啲糊仔俾 BB 仔食嘅。 咁而當中有啲媽媽可能需要雪人奶啦，咁而我哋都配置咗一啲小型嘅雪櫃喺呢度嘅。
We have got, positive parents, okay? That means, okay, they have to leave the quarantine center. So what about the kids, okay? So we have to talk to the parents too, and let them know, okay, what is going to happen, okay, and see whether they have got any special arrangement for them, or actually we have to talk to, like a social welfare department, okay, to see, whether we can arrange caretakers for them. No matter what, okay, we just want to make sure that actually, the kids will be safe, okay, and we can take very good care of their well-being anyway.
This is now my room for the coming 10 days, and I'm not allowed to step out of my room. I'm one of the hundreds of people who have been put into government quarantine after an outbreak linked to a gym. My fitness instructor tested positive, so even though I wore a mask and followed social distancing throughout the class, I'm considered a close contact because I spent an hour in the same studio with her. I was picked up by a health worker and we drove to this facility near Disneyland in Lantau Island. The room is decently clean, and I would say this is a spacious room in Hong Kong standard. First, I sprayed my room with disinfectant. And I spent some time making it cozy. For me, I brought my scented candle, and my family sent me a portable Wi-Fi device. I also have fruits, snacks, and workout gear and work stuff. I doubled up the mattresses, made it a double bed, and brought my own pillowcase and bedding. Every day we take our temperature at 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And this is how I get some fresh air. And this is the moment I look forward to the most. Meals delivered to my door. We have breakfast delivery at 8, lunch at noon, and dinner at 6. All of our rubbish is considered clinical waste, so we have to tie it up in this red bag, and this is the only chance I can open my door. One of my fitness instructors is my quarantine neighbor. I'm going to say hi with you here. And she's doing Zoom yoga with a group of quarantine buddies. And look at how they revamped the rooms. It's day 4 today and I'm holding up really well. So I have 2 negative test results. And we'll do one more test before I leave.
We need regional quarantine facilities. I have been advocating this for a long, long time. It is a no-brainer. We need regional quarantine facilities.
Makeshift medical facilities.
Makeshift quarantine sites.
Regional quarantine facilities.
Makeshift medical facilities.
Makeshift quarantine sites.
I have been advocating this for a long, long time. It is a no-brainer.
Deep within a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time. A Legion of Doom.